What's up, everybody? I'm back again with another episode of Ask Chad Grassy Logic. We're a day late, but it actually worked out for everybody, even my guest, even my producer. So we had to do it a day late. Sometimes that happens. That's why I live off of Semper Gumby, which means always flexible. So if you live off of that, life's a little bit easier. So I'm here with my guest today, Daniel of Yendo Farms. Daniel, thank you so much for joining me.
What's up, everybody?
What's up, man? Hey, thank you again for joining me. I wish we could have been in person, but we can't always do that. You're up north, so it kind of makes it hard sometimes being so far.
Definitely. But yeah, we'll definitely have to, when we come down to do some drops in Las Cruces, we'll definitely come down and have to stop by the studio and say what's up in person.
Definitely, man. Yeah, we'll have another show or something that day when you guys come down, have you guys on again. Because unfortunately today his girlfriend couldn't join us. I really wanted her on. She's a very pivotal person in their company and everything and the way that the direction they're going. So it'd be great to talk to her. So I'm sorry I couldn't get you on. So we'll get you on here sometime soon when you guys come down and everything. Because I already have people asking where your stuff is in town because, I've smelled it, I've tried it. And it's really amazing. And you guys have some new stuff coming on, but we'll talk more about that here in a second. Cool. First, I want to tell you guys about today. Today, the title is Federal Scrimmage, and what that means is one of the topics is the federal government may reschedule cannabis to Schedule 3, and that changes a lot of things. And we'll discuss that and everything today. I have that there, and we're also going to be talking about how to report to the CCD correctly, because there's a lot of people that are kind of just going the wrong route about this and just kind of either want to tattletale or tell one person or go one route. So I'm going to give you guys some tips on how to really go about this the correct way instead of just
being professional about it, right?
Yeah, exactly. Thank you. Thank you, Dana, for that. Chime in anytime. But yeah, do it professionally. There's a right way and a wrong way to do everything, especially when this is now a legal industry and we're trying to all be professional. So I'm going to give you guys that tip so I can stop getting those DMs. And then those are really the two other topics that I have, other than talking about Yendo Farms, of course. And normally we give you guys a good chunk, talk about yourselves. Sometimes you guys have really great stories, and I have a feeling you guys have a really good story. Plus, I love talking about the llama thing. That's really cool. And then I'll give you guys a little bit of info of why I was so late today too, as well. I went and did some grow inspection stuff. So we'll talk about that briefly at the end, and I'll tell you guys how to watch that. So anyway, we're going to get on to the episode today, and let's talk about Yendo Farms. So what's up with Yendo Farms? Who are you guys? Let's ask that first, for the audience.
So I think Yendo Farms is more of like an idea than an actual thing. Okay. Like Yendo is like I think it's like present participle of Spanish. It just means like it's a part of the ir. So like to go or to keep going or to pursue or, to continue. And in life, it's kind of like, things get thrown at you left and right. And you just you gotta Yendo, bro. You gotta keep going and you gotta push through. And there's always, the rainbow at the end of crazy storm. So yeah, that's kind of like what we've kind of based ourselves on. We just kind of started doing R&D when we had our medical card and had our personal production going. And then we brought those strains to Unidos, and so that's our new project. So Yendo Farms right now technically is a consulting company. Mm-hmm. We just finished a huge collab with Farm Flourish. Shout out to those guys for holding it down and and just kind of like giving us a cool spot to kind of launch, do a soft launch as the rec market. And we teamed up with Alabastra, one of New Mexico's, if not the best, in my opinion, the best extractor in the state, and those guys are doing it. They've been doing it. And whenever we came up into like kind of a partnership where we were just kind of trying working with each other, we started making what we were making and people seemed to really like it. And so we decided to keep a good thing going and get Unidos going, so it's like, it doesn't take one, it takes two. And so we had to unite, and that's our little thing is like, Unidos, you need one and two. You can't just do it by yourself, especially these days. So we're excited to launch that product into the market, and sounds like a lot of people are excited as well.
Yeah. And maybe the New Mexico United want a sponsorship from you guys in the stadium or something.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, that was one of my favorite things is like going to the soccer games and everyone's chatting like Somos Unidos, and I was like, oh yeah, we are united, and like and it feels better to conquer things together as opposed to like just individually. And, no one does anything by themselves. Teamwork makes the dream work. And, shout out to Alabastra for lacing us up with all the genetics and believing in us and what we do. Because our grow is all organic, zero heavy metal inputs. Just trying our hardest to stay the most sustainable without impacting the earth or taking too many nutrients from habitats. Like bat guano was a big thing because they were destroying bat caves in order to get bat guano. Or blood meal from the factory farms. They will bleed out cows and they'll scrape that and then give that to the plants. And so, once you start learning all the crazy little things, you're like, oh, maybe I don't need to use that anymore. Maybe I could use microbes, or maybe I could use, natural forms of growing. So anyway, but that's kind of what we do is we try to just do things organic and sustainable.
100%. Because before we found out that we could, do the NPK, kind of do that synthetically with nutrients and stuff and other things and bat guano, there was actually some islands in the Pacific that were just an island full of bird poop. And so for the longest time, there was almost like fights and battles over these islands where we were getting nutrients to feed our farms in America and everything and all over the world. And so these companies own these islands, these whole islands that were just nothing but bird poop, just for years and years. And they would go in and mine this bird poop, and then they'll take it back to the States or wherever and, disperse it. And then once they figured out, what's up?
Oh, I said, yeah, they'll take it back to the States or to somewhere where they could process it.
Yeah, somewhere where it's processed or however they did it back then, because this is way back in the day, 1900s or something like that.
Oh wow,
way back, way back in the day.
Wow.
Yeah, and so that's initially how we got a lot of our nutrients, for the plants in the dirt, because we found out that we have to supplement it, and then these days we're finding out more stuff that we're doing it wrong still. And so, we found out that, okay, this method isn't really sustainable for the future. We have to find something else. And then they just happen to know about these islands full of bird poop. And, they use that bird poop to bring over here. It's crazy. And so now it's kind of another shift.
Yeah, the earth, creates everything that we really need. And so the plants are just like humans. They need nutrients and minerals just like us. Just giving a flat NPK, might not be the best approach. You know what I mean?
You got the macro and the micronutrients that all the plants need to survive and all that. So it's something that people forget. And then you have the microbe, environment in there, and they need to be fed too. So that's where the teas come in. So a lot of people don't really come in and or really think about that. And they're like, oh, we'll just do the NPK, and they're like, why is my plant dying? I'm like, oh, it doesn't have anything else.
It's a delicate. Growing a plant's delicate. It's like growing a human. It's a delicate thing. You can't do too much. You can't do too little. You gotta just really guide and let the plant do its thing, because really you're just trying to provide the best environment and give it the best chance for it to thrive. And so that's kind of our approach. But
nice. And I can talk about growing all day. So going back and forth, that's great. And we'll talk more about growing for everybody in the audience. I really love asking growers tips later on, but I really want to talk about you guys and actually you. So how did you get started? You mentioned that, you and your girlfriend started with the PPL, and I remember those days. I've been a patient since 2013. Yeah. When did you start growing cannabis and really getting into this?
So it was about about 8 or 9 years ago. I had my card for about 2 or 3 years, and then finally got to the point where I went to all the dispensaries. Everything was just kind of didn't really taste like anything. Nothing really smelled like anything, and it was just kind of it was expensive. And so it's like, if I'm going to be paying money, I want it to be bomb, I want that to taste bomb. I want it to make me, help me, not make me feel any different than I would normally, but just enhance what I'm doing,
Yeah.
So I think cannabis is a great enhancement tool. And so when I couldn't find anything, I decided to grow your own, Yeah. And I think that's really when 100% what's going into your medicine. And then had an opportunity where I was, it's a commitment, you got to it's a lifestyle. It's not just kind of oh, I want to grow some plants. It's if you really want to understand it, you got to dedicate it. And that's why, shout out to all the OGs that laid the path before us and made it even easier for us. We watched how many, Instagrams and YouTubes and so much stuff just to get a little bit of knowledge to help you keep doing your thing, And so it takes us all to keep leveling up and getting, consistently good herb to people.
Yeah.
And so I got an opportunity. My aunt just wanted to grow her own, and she kind of bought too much stuff for her apartment. And then then she was like, well, they oversold me on all this equipment. I don't know how to grow. It keeps blowing breakers. Do you want all this stuff? And so I'm like, well, it's playing with the idea of growing. Sure, like I'll try it. And then my buddy's like, oh, I'll give you a tent. Do you want to just get a tent? And then I was like, oh, okay, I'll try it. And then my buddy in Colorado was like, I got some genetics, because genetics are really hard to come by back then.
Yeah, it was scary getting them back then.
Okay. And so I was like, okay, it all seems like it's lining up. And then that night I just meditated and I was like, all right, like if this is something I should do, there's this concert I want to go to the next night, Railroad Earth, and they're doing a competition. So I was like, I never win anything. I'm going to enter in this contest. If I win, that's a sign from God that, hey, I should probably go get these genetics. If not, squash the idea, get out, like don't do anything. And then enter the contest. Next morning, got a phone call, and I had won these tickets to the show. And so I was like, oh, okay, you got me. So I cruised up there, got the genetics, came down here, and man, that's all she wrote. I just tried to keep going and leveling up every time. And, just trying to get to the point where, it just kind of had something for everybody, and most importantly, just made me feel better. You know what I mean?
No, 100%. And I use mine for combat PTSD from Iraq and everything. So I totally get it. For that aspect. And it's just great to hear your story and where you come from and all that. Because coming from a patient, and I remember those days. Trying to order like on something stupid like Herbies for the first time. You're just like, oh, I better send it discreet, and they send it in like a DVD case or something.
Oh,
and,
yeah.
Dude, yeah.
We were like 17. We're gonna grow weed in my friend's mom's backyard. And we got to Amsterdam. The High Times magazine. We ordered the seeds from Amsterdam, and we all saved $20 every day for 2-3 months, and then boom, we had $400. We bought all these seeds, and then we got a letter in the mail from the DEA or whatever saying like, oh, we have your seeds. If you like these, please contact us at blah, blah, blah. We're like, yeah, nope, you guys can have them. Like, we don't want those.
I'm not going to go talk to you guys.
that was the last time I ever thought about growing. And then, we smoked weed to be cool and stuff. And then, I played basketball for a long time and ended up shredding my rotator cuff and, fell into a dark kind of deep depression. And that was like before the opioid epidemic. So they were just prescribing me those like candy, and kind of fell into like addiction with pills. And then just kind of like, cannabis brought me out of that, where it was like, once I had enough pills and the doctors finally red flagged me, it was like, hey, you can't have this anymore. And I'm like, what do you mean? Like it's prescription. Like if it's prescribed, it's okay, right? And they're like, well, yeah, but no one was paying attention. And this is really bad for your liver, and like your liver is going to start shutting down if you continue this way. And so to switch it up, they gave me non-narcotics. They didn't do anything, and then I started to smoke cannabis, and then all of a sudden I could get a little relaxed, and I got relief from the pain, but my shoulder was still hurt. Like I knew what I could do to make my arm feel better, as opposed to just taking opiates. It feel nothing. And then all of a sudden, when they wore off, it was like 100 times, what it was before.
And then they're back taking more because that pain is more intense, and you think
it's more dragging.
Yeah, definitely. And I've heard that so many times, and I played sports most of my life too. I pitched, so I have a bum shoulder too. So I totally get it, where you come from with that. I have to be really careful and everything. But what position do you play? Center?
Center-ish. More power forward, bro. I got the 3-point shot, and so.
Ooh.
Everyone's like, oh, this tall white boy can't shoot. And so they wouldn't really guard me, So I was just dropping threes, from a couple feet behind the 3-point line. So we did pretty well for a long time and played varsity for, 2 years and did that whole thing. And that was my life. And when you get injured and like you identify so much of your life with one particular thing, gets taken away. And then they're like, oh, here's some pills too. If you're injured, it's like, whoa,
Yeah,
gets you completely checked out. So I think cannabis definitely saved my life. I've definitely, believe in it. I did believe in like, the medicinal power that it has, and like the ability to do what, big pharma kind of fails to do, which is like
Yeah.
not take away the pain, but relax you enough so that you can understand where that pain's coming from, and do something actually about it.
Yeah, because I mean, when you just mask it, it doesn't really fix the problem. It just masks it. And that's
Yeah.
that's my problem with like a lot of pharmaceutical drugs, even ones for like mental health. It normally just masks it or numbs you to it. It doesn't really address the problem or give you a tool to kind of figure out, okay, I'm feeling this way. Maybe I need to do this and this, or maybe I need to think this way.
Yeah.
And then that's kind of like where it fails. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, definitely. And I know some people that it works for them in small doses and managed doses, and I know that some people that once they got off of it and went full cannabis and then slowly weaned off cannabis and just kind of does more meditation and breath work, that
Mhm.
that helped them out as well. So it's like like you said, it's all about therapy, and it's all about having tools at your disposal, or that you can have access to kind of help you in your own journey, because we're all on our own journey, and we're all like experiencing life in different ways. And so to have cannabis as a tool, like that's insane, to
Yeah,
have,
yeah,
to be over 21 and go to a store and get some medicine, and or even just get some weed now and get high, it's rec. Like you don't even have to need it for a medicinal reason, but it still makes you feel better.
yeah, 100%.
I think medicine and the root of what medicine should do, the whole point of that was to make you feel better, to
Yeah,
enjoy your life more, to enjoy, your friends and family more, and just to be able to be grateful for it's hard to be grateful whenever you're in pain,
yeah, it is 100%. And we're used to medicines being things that fixes something. You have like the penicillins that for like infections and stuff like that. You got other stuff that helps with like flus and your sicknesses, and so we expect for something like an opioid, and that's the misconception is it's going to help us. It's going to be the
Yeah,
fix
yeah.
for all.
I thought it would help my pain. I didn't think it would just, take it away to the point where, and I didn't understand it, and I still think that some people don't understand it, but it just blocks your pain receptors, so the
Yeah,
pain's still there. It's just blocked. And as
yeah,
soon as it goes away, boom, it's like, the electricity's back, it's like a
yeah,
dam that's trying to come. And if your arm's not hurting, and you're moving it like it doesn't hurt, and then all of a sudden the receptors are back, and you're like, oh shit, I shouldn't have done any of that.
yeah. And instead of taking a bunch of pills, you can like do small exercises or something to kind of
And
help
that's
out.
what I do. I get super high, and I'd start doing my own rehab, and I would start like, oh, I wasn't going to be able, without surgery, I wouldn't be able to do a pull up or do push ups, and it's like, oh, now I can do all those now, So it's
Yeah,
like, it's all your body's miraculous. Cannabis is a miraculous tool, and so we're just here to be good stewards of the earth and try to get people some fire ass weed to fucking, to help them be a better version of them. You know what I
yeah,
mean?
definitely. Yeah, that's why you went onto this journey. So I mean, and where did like the time come and point where you had your PPL and you kind of felt Yendo Farms? I mean, I know we talked about Unidos or the United,
Yeah. So
but about Yendo Farms, like I mean, where this llama and everything come
yeah,
from,
who
and
is Yendo? Yeah, so a really really good friend of mine and a girl that we used to date. We adopted this llama, right? And so our next door neighbor, we're getting chickens. We moved out to the country. We're like, I'm like a city boy moving to the country. I want chickens, and we're gonna like, my neighbor's like, oh, the coyotes are gonna get your chickens. Like, you better get a llama or a dog. And I'm like, what?
You're like a llama.
Yeah, and I'm like, he's like, yeah, llama will protect the chicken coop. It's like it's a protector, right? So Machu Picchu, like it protects the temples up there, supposedly.
Yeah,
But that's what they do. They're kind of like a protector kind of energy, and so if you put the llama in the same pen as the chickens, it'll protect the chickens from coyotes and stuff. So I ran that by her, and next thing you know, we adopted a llama, and he comes with a whole story. His name was Larry the llama. He was on KRQE. They did a little story on him. Some some people were trying to get these two llamas to mate. They finally mated, but they were also abusing, like beating them at the same time. And so these llamas escaped. These coyotes came. Unfortunately killed his wife and his and the little baby, and tore off like the back of his neck, and like his ears are usually pointy. Llama's ears are usually pointy, but they ripped off the tip of his ears. while he was trying to protect his wife. And we only know that because they had a tracker. They hired a tracker to track the blood to like the crime scene and what happened to the llama. And so that's kind of the backstory that came with him. And a rancher found him all bloody, got him to the vet. The vet got him to a foster home. And then we saw that story on KRQE about Larry the llama. And so, I wasn't going to, keep him, I'm not, no offense to Larry's, I like Larry's, but I just didn't want his name to be Larry. I felt like he just went through some shit and he needed some, like, a good name, so we adopted him and we just spent like a day looking for a cool name. And we came across Yendo because like he had to keep going. If he stopped, he was going to be gone. He did what he could for his wife, and he had to keep going. And so we went out to the country, and there's always something going on. Like this was like a retirement farm for like a old goat dairy.
Okay.
We had 13 goats. We had like 3 llamas. And so there's always something going on. Something flooding, something was happening,
some animals being an asshole and
and so you just got to Yendo, you just got to keep going, you just got to keep pushing, and so that's kind of how he became the staple of like our consulting company. And on our Instagram, that llama is by our buddy John Speaker, and the llama, the smoking a joint, that's from our buddy Mr. Melty. So shout out to those guys. Those guys are amazing artists, and like without art bringing like that physical aspect to it, it's just a word. But like when you really get to see the llama and you get to see it, and then people trip out when they're like, "What? You actually have a llama?" Like, I just thought that was a cartoon. It's like, no, that's my boy. Right now, like. And so we let down all the gates once like all the other older animals passed, because he was the youngest one. He was 3.
Yeah.
We let all the gates down, so now he's just like roaming around, and you'll feel like somebody watching you. Look. And he's just like in the window, just kind of, what are you doing? Go out there, hang out the plants. And so, he's cool. And they've kind of formed a pack with the dogs. We have like 4 dogs out here. So all the 4 dogs and the llama just kind of hang out and just do their thing. So
that's crazy. So do you feel like llamas are kind of closer to like what a dog is? Just like a huge dog, I guess?
I wish. I don't really, because he was abused before, so he won't get too close to us,
Yeah.
But they are really, really nice. So yeah, they're kind of like a donkey, it's like they're not going to like do a trick or like sit down for you or anything, or but what they really are for is packing. They'll take a bunch. I think they could pack up to 200 pounds and then take them like, into the Gila, and they'll have like 4 llamas, and then people can just hike. They'll walk their llamas, and the llamas will carry all their stuff. And so never knew that. Apparently there's a huge llama packing community in New Mexico.
I was going to ask you that. Is there like a big, huge llama community here?
Yeah. We got Yendo from Linda the Llama Lady. So shout out Linda.
She has a llama name. That's hilarious.
Yeah, Linda the Llama Lady. Yeah, she's sweet. She's a sweetheart. I have like a llama rug, and yeah, she comes out and checks on Yendo. All of a sudden, like there'll be like a silver Mercedes at our door. Or like at our gate, and I'm like, "Who's this lady?" And she's like, "Oh, I'm just checking on Yendo." And I'm like, "Oh, okay, cool, yeah, like come check it out." She's always like, "You guys take the best care of him, and he looks so happy here." And so that's what we try to do. We're just trying to raise the vibes of everybody and everyone we come in contact with, and just try to like, just try to be, kind and just try to like, be nice to people. And I think that's what we're all here for. Just trying to like make it better for everybody. There's too many people trying to make it hard on you. Why not just 100%. Make it better for each other?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know why we'd want to make it harder for ourselves, because in the end, all we have is ourselves, is each other, really. Because like that's really all we have. So yeah, and it's really cool that you did that for the for Yendo, and that you named your farm after your consulting company really after that, and that's pretty funny. That's kind of like my dog Kush I had for years. He was my service dog and everything, and he passed away 2 years ago. But all my username stuff is Invader Kush, and because his name was Kush, he invaded my life. So that's why it's Invader Kush. Yeah. And so some people are like, "What are you, an invader?"
Good origin story.
Yeah, exactly. Everyone loves the little good origin story. So that's actually where that comes from. If some of you here watching don't know, the Invader Kush is actually after my dog who invaded my life. So everything to him.
Well,
So,
R.I.P. Kush, man. But
appreciate it.
I know dogs are the
Yeah.
best.
Oh yeah, they are. And you're doing a lot of care work too. You had all those goats, and you got the llamas, and so that's pretty cool, man. Do you plan on adopting any more?
I don't know, man. Cannabis right now is like kind of like our focus. We're like trying to really just kind of grease the wheel, make sure, starting a farm, like our new farm's in Las Lunas. So that's been taking a lot of time and energy, and just trying to like, just kind of get everything we need going there, and finish our greenhouse. We're building like a greenhouse, big to us, small to others, but a little 30 by 60 greenhouse. And, me and Shane from Alabaster are going to, along with our two partners, his wife and my girlfriend, we're going to really be doing some cool stuff. We're focusing on rosin only, especially for the first year. We're going to do nothing but rosin. We're going to do, try to hit all tiers, try to have a platinum tier for people to have like, one of the best experiences for like maybe celebrations, or, you're just had a great day and you just want to celebrate that, and we'll have like a gold and a silver platinum, and kind of, prices accordingly depending on the terpene rarity and the yield, because a lot of people don't understand that like just because it's fire doesn't mean it's going to produce a lot, And so like in order to make it even available to people, different price points have to be hit in order to maintain that consistent quality, because I feel like there's not really a lot of people doing the super high end part in New Mexico, and we kind of want to fill that little gap,
100%. And it seems like you guys are, because I've heard nothing but great things about you, and there's already people asking for you guys in the area. So let's get into that then. Let's talk about the new line, and where can people find you in Las Cruces or around the state, really?
Yeah, so Galileo picked this up. We got Top Crop coming in with the tough order. They're gonna be filling all their shops with it. We got
High Dark Matter down in Sunland for y'all down in Sunland.
Yep, Sunland, Las Cruces. I think they're gonna fill up the Albuquerque stores. They just a lot of people just reserved a lot. The last I haven't even sent out the menu yet. Thank you guys for your patience. There's like all kinds of hiccups with testing, and now the jars are on back order, and I don't want to put out. And we also were trying to hit like a 2-month cold cure, because we also feel that like curing, there's something about 2 months cold cure that we feel like some magic happens. And so that's kind of what we're doing, is just trying to like slow and once it's ready, we're going to drop it, and we don't want nothing but the best experience for people, and that includes not rushing product out, and especially when we've spent so many months producing it, why rush it out right away, and not give that full experience that maybe waiting that extra month could really provide. So it'll be dropped. I think we're dropping that under the Unidos label, so we'll have a cool new label. We'll have cool new vibe. And so same fire, but we're just uniting farms. And so we're going to kind of be under that new, really cool logo. So,
nice.
So we're really excited, and we really thank everyone for their support and their patience. And like, people have been nothing but great feedback and great encouragement. And, everyone just wants us to keep going. And I get DMs every single day. Where are you guys at? Where can we get you? And I'm like, shoot, I don't know yet. I'm going to let everybody know, Yeah. So yeah, we really appreciate you, and appreciate you having on the show and asking us. And it's really cool meeting you guys, and just hanging out with Cruces Craft Cannabis, and those guys are great. And so yeah, man.
Yeah. It's great to talk to other guys too, because I'm just getting into the extraction stuff. I'm more of the grower, and so I'm learning a lot right now. And just meeting more, and how more of a community is versus, like, oh, I hate you because you do the same thing. It's great to see that, it's more like, yeah, dude, I love what you have, this and that, let's try each other's shit. Like, why not? I can learn.
It's hard, man. It's hard. It's like, it's, I think we understand how hard it is to really find like a true winning strain that really tastes good. That like, there's a lot of strains that smell good, but not every strain transfers over to rosin. Some strains need to be left as flower.
Yeah.
And so really coming to that understanding of what you're looking for, and what you're trying to do with that particular cultivar, it's going to really help with people's success. You know what I mean?
100%. And it's crazy because, on the grower side, you have the pheno hunts, you go through that process. And then now on the rosin side, you have this whole other hunt for, glandular heads, shapes, sizes. And then you have, the terpenes. And if it doesn't transfer over correctly or it doesn't yield enough, you have all these other variables that go along with it too. So like you have this already small pool of genetics that some people pick, when it comes to the breeders, and you make it even smaller when it comes to rosin. It's amazing that, you guys are able to do that in the first place, there's a lot of selection.
Yeah, a lot of that was Shane. Alabaster brought in like tons of genetics. Like we had a lot of genetics that we had in house that we hunted ourselves, that we friends had given us or we traded or whatever. And then Shane just had an insane library, and and really just when we merged our libraries, we're like, okay, cool. Like we can really just kind of have like 15 strains on rotation and not repeat a strain for a year, and then really see what people really enjoy and see what people ask for again. And so kind of weed stuff out like that, where it's like, where we know not everybody likes, certain kind of food, so why would you like one gassy or fruity or whatever? So, I think just kind of having something that somebody's going to like, you might not like all of our stuff, but hopefully you like some of it, hopefully one, if we get you to like one of our strains, we've done our job, and we're happy that you gave us a shot. You know what I mean?
Yeah, 100%. And I'm happy too because it's a really great product. Like I said, I've tried it before and I smelled it and I see it all the time, and I'm like, man, that's some good shit.
Yeah, no, the terps don't lie. And when you give the plants like room to just express themselves naturally, it's like my job's easy. I'm letting the plant do the work. And then it goes to the selectors, like you said. It's like we. Rufus Rosin, he selected a couple of those strains, like the OGKB 2.1 and what was the other one, the Z-Face, delicious, great job, Rufus, great job to Shane for grabbing those, so it's like, there's just, you come across strains that, are available one day and never going to be available again. And that's what makes it special. And that's what also makes it scary. And that's what makes it fun, because you never know we're going to have that strain, never know when it's going to go. And you just really teach you to just enjoy things like, as they are, in the present moment, enjoy it while you can. And then if you could do it again, sweet. And if not, like, at least you got to try it,
Yeah. Yeah. You always have that memory of there, I hear a bunch of, rosin guys tell me, we had this one plant and it was so amazing. And it was like a 4% return. And like, it was like, the terps and
yeah. Yeah. That's how it is. Yep.
Yeah. You'll never have it again. Oh.
Yeah. Then it's the one that goes away. And then you're like, dang, I still remember that plant. Or she'll take it away. Yeah. And then you hunt again, and then
it goes on. It's addictive. It's really addictive. And I've been finding that out for myself too, because even pheno hunting is addictive. So now this further in, going down this rabbit hole is even more addicting. I'm like, oh, this sucks.
Yeah. Like seed junkie, they don't call him seed junkie for nothing. Like that dude was probably collecting seeds and making strains, and like, he does incredible work, like, I know there's a little controversy there, but like at the end of the day, he's bred some stuff that everybody enjoys, So, we have our Love Over Jealousy, actually. Top Crop just picked up some Love Over Jealousy from our Farm Flourish collab. So if you guys are around Top Crop, or if you're around Nirvana, on Montgomery, those guys in Albuquerque have our flowers. So that's the Jealousy F3 cut from Seed Junkie. So delicious all the way through, the whole joint. So, if you guys are looking for good terpy flower, go hit those spots up. And if there's any places in Las Cruces that's wants, I think we have a couple of things left. So we're just trying to, get the good terps to the good people.
Heck yeah, man. Good products. Because, New Mexico is actually held in high regard when it comes to hash. I was talking to one of the representatives for the Puffco a while back on Clubhouse. And it's a voice chatting app. I talked to a bunch of cannabis people around the nation on there. It's actually really cool. Yeah, it's actually really cool. And so I was talking to her, and she asked where I was from. She was like, New Mexico. She was like, y'all got some really good hash out there. I was like, really? She said, addressed it to the whole room. She said, y'all don't fall asleep on New Mexico. They got some good hash. They're gonna kick y'all's ass one day. And I was like,
yes. Yeah, Pele Polaire. Do you know who those guys are?
I don't think so.
So they're like a company that does like they do ice extraction, specialization equipment, and tech and all that stuff. Really cool company if you guys haven't checked them out. But they have a thing called Turp Wars every year. And so Shane's like, "Yo, we got something special. We should enter in Turp Wars." And so it was kind of like, man, we just smoke the hash, like we don't really need to do a competition, do we? Like, I don't know if we're gonna win,
Yeah.
And so that little bit of fear comes in, and you're like, oh, I don't know, I'll just smoke it. And so then it comes to the point where it's like, oh, hey, like, why not? Why not just give it a shot? And so we entered in, and I think there's people all over the U.S. entered in, and there's even some people from Mexico and Canada, and we ended up taking third. We lost. We lost first place by like 2.5 points, and then my buddy Nick at Porter Provisions, he got second, and so that was pretty cool. So it was Colorado, New Mexico, and then California took first, and so it was cool. It was cool to be on the leaderboard with some of the best, and it kind of gave us like, oh shoot, like we really can do this. People really do like our stuff, so like maybe we should keep a good thing going. And that's when kind of Unidos was born, where it was like, all right, cool, dude, like let's see what we can do together.
That's dope, and I'm glad you elaborated more on that relationship and how it really came about. Because I mean, that's
I know I can't. I mean, those are all our genetics right now. So I mean, not to like zoom in, but we're dropping like maybe 20 of those this summer. If all goes well. So growing, there's no guarantees, but we hope to have another Unidos exclusive drop that strains that I've never even tried. So pretty exciting.
I'm excited too. You guys are bringing a lot to the table, and I mean, I even noticed that the packaging and the labeling of your jars, they're different for each cultivar that you have. Can you explain a little on that? And I know your girlfriend does most of that stuff, so we'll let her get in depth with it. But I just kind of want to you guys point that out, I guess.
No. So I think what you're talking, just like the sample jars we got going to different dispensaries and stuff, and so the ones with Unidos are going to be the same, where each strain is going to have a label that correlates to kind of the vibe or the aura of the hash itself. So when we sample it, we'll kind of feel what colors it. Oh, damn, that's kind of like orangey, or that's like a yellow, or that's like pretty uplifting, or ooh, that's like a purple, like cool cucumber, and then based on how we feel, we kind of put that vibe onto the jar and just try to get like a visual of how we kind of feel whenever we take that dab and try it out. So we try to have fun with it, and everything's kind of with intention and thought, where it's like, oh, cool, like this is like what we have our Han Solo burger, and that's going to be like black and yellow and kind of like Star Wars vibes,
Nice.
And so our Z face, or no, I guess what we're dropping is Shit's Fire, and that's a Skittles cross, so rainbow, kind of vibe. So just kind of make it fun and make it kind of something that people look forward to, where it's like, oh, I haven't tried that color yet. I don't even know, I don't know what strain that is, but I like the color.
Yeah.
Cool. Or it's like, I like the strain, and then that becomes their favorite color.
Yeah.
So it's kind of cool.
Nice. No, it is pretty cool. You guys have the color scheme with the flavors and everything, and I haven't seen that before, with anybody in the state. So it's really great that you guys are actually even doing that. And I keep telling people that legalization brings along innovation, and you guys have really have found that sweet spot of innovation, and allowing that customer experience to really go further than just opening the box and seeing something pretty. You have this jar, you could take the dab and look at it and be like, huh, okay, I can see what I'm tasting. You know what I mean? Like, that's kind of cool.
To be able to smell and taste the smells, like something that you could, very few things offer that, where you're like, ooh, I smell that. Ooh, it tastes just like it smells. Oh, and it looks like it tastes and how it feels.
Yeah.
Trifecta.
It's an all-around customer experience that you get from the moment of getting the jar, its look and everything, and having a llama on it, and then the presentation, and then just taking it in and having all that to go along with it. That's actually really cool. And I'm not even sure if certain consumers knew that beforehand. So if you're watching the show you're getting a
Yeah.
little tidbit in, you know, a little Easter egg, I guess I would say.
Yeah.
for the packaging.
One of the dispensary owners asked me if they just come like that randomly, and so it's like, oh no, like I'm glad you asked, but no, it's like we put some thought behind each color and like
Yeah.
what we're kind of going for, and so we're dropping like the Dulce de Uva, that's like the breeder's cut from Bloom. That's grape candy, grape gas candy. So we already know it's going to be like a purple kind of Unidos sticker,
Yeah.
We know that like Han Solo Burger's kind of like black and yellow, kind of Star Wars vibes, like a Black Galaxy kind of vibe. We're dropping the garlic cookies, the Skunk Master Flex cut of that, and that's kind of more like a skunky green, yellow kind of funk kind of vibes. So we'll be dropping some really cool flavors.
Nice.
We got our peach pie dropping.
Nice.
That's like peach rings. It's like literally tastes like gas station peach rings. Cannabis is so cool because it's like these terpenes that are found artificially in a gas station are produced naturally by a plant.
Yeah.
Like wrap your head around that. That's pretty wild. Where it's
crazy.
These people have manufactured something fake to taste amazing and people love it, and then this plant's like, someone was like, oh yeah, I found this plant that tastes just like that, and you're like, oh well, cool.
Yeah.
Like, I want to smoke it for whatever reason. Yeah, like
right, exactly. And I haven't seen many plants where they can have so many different characteristics of different flavors. Like cannabis can go anywhere from a skunk anywhere to like a papaya. And it has like so many different variances of smell, flavor, and all that good stuff. So yeah, it's really amazing that we've been able to do that. And if you guys don't know, rosins, if it's a good rosin, isn't going to have any terpenes added to it. It's just going to be what you get is just 100% from the plant, and that's why I really like that kind of thing. And it's more of a natural process, instead of going, with the crazy solvents and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Just
heat, pressure, water, ice.
Yeah.
It's like the natural elements of earth. A little bit of heat, a little bit of water, ice, pressure. So we think it's really like kind of like the evolution of what smoking cannabis has grown to. Like this is like I feel like we've been waiting for like hundreds of years. Or whatever. Where it's like I was smoking swag out of like a little aluminum can that we poke holes in, and like God knows what it did to our lungs. And now we're like dabbing like the most delicious thing on earth, and it's like you would have never fathomed at 10 years old or 12 years old that was what it was going to evolve to. So you never know what's going to be next, but like you said, I think keeping chemicals away from the growing aspect and from the extracting aspect is going to give you a more true essence of what that plant is really actually producing.
100%. You get more of a baseline of what you're trying to produce and what you're putting out, and I kind of feel like it's like, am I doing good? Like, okay, it came out good. Heck yeah, these numbers are good. So yeah, 100%. And
the plant likes it, man. Yeah, the people will like it. So at the end of the day, it's for the people. It's like New Mexico's been bamboozled for a long time, where it's like, Boof is reign king, and it probably still always will, and that's okay, but we want to be like a little niche, little hole in the wall where people are like, hey, I want to get, I want to taste, and I want to, have that overall experience, and like that's what we want to provide. We're not here to take over the market. We're not here to like, do anything crazy, but just try to provide, the best that we can for who we can,
Yeah. 100%, man. And I meant to ask you earlier, do you guys plan on doing a retail store anytime soon or anything like that?
There's been talks for sure. I think we got to ramp up production. We got to make sure that our production is going proper and everything's smooth. But yeah, we definitely intend to, for sure. Goal right now is like loose goals by next April. We always like to throw around like, ideas, I guess, that we're like, oh, it's pretty far fetched, but like, let's just try it, and so that's how we've gotten this far so far. So we're just going to keep trying, but hopefully have a retail open in April, like at Unidos, little spot where people come get like, just our products and potentially other people's products, who kind of meet our same morals and, kind of align on a lot of same values. And so that's kind of what we want to do is weed out all the mediocre stuff and do the homework for people. So if we do have any other brands in a retail shop, people could be like, oh, cool. I know that this isn't grown with pesticides. I know this doesn't have bugs or mold or, things that maybe some people might be concerned of, and they don't really have to even second guess. It's like that's our job to do that, to make sure that people are having the best experience.
Nice. Yeah, 100%, and then they go in a little more confident, because, there's so many people trying to bamboozle others right now on the legal market, like, oh, this is this, or we have the fire, and you go and look and, they're growing. It's like almost dead. So, it's like, this looks like it's about to be on fire.
Yeah, for real. Or they're like, smell this. And it's like, oh, it's delicious. And then you're like, smell it. You're like, nah, I don't really smell anything. But like, and then you tell them, and then people get upset. And it's like, well, like honesty, is the best. Is the only thing that made me better is when people are like, this sucks. And it's like, okay, well, back to the drawing board. Like, what am I doing? What am I not doing? And how do I give the plant what it needs so that it could do what it needs? Because at the longest time, I wanted to do the work for the plant instead of just letting the plant do the work and me just kind of, giving it what it needs. You know what I mean?
Nice. And before we move on, because, we have a couple more topics, what are some tips you can give a new grower, and what are some plans that Yendo Farm has, other than what you've shared with us?
It just disappeared. There we are. I think keep it simple. I think some of the best herb I ever grew was just worm castings and kelp. Kept it simple. Didn't spend too much money on it. It really just depends on like what you're trying to do. It's like really good soil, compost, some kelp. You could grow some amazing cannabis, keeping it simple. But also, if you want, Organics Alive has a really cool kit, for people that will take them from veg to bloom, and amazing company. That's one of our core people that we really like to promote, because they're just like super simple to use. Mm-hmm. Cannabis is amazing every time, and it could really make people's life a lot easier if they want to switch to organics without going to all the messy bottles and stuff. It's a nice little way to get organic without getting into like really all the stinky bottles and all the organic. The organic kind of thing is a huge umbrella. It's not like a very specific thing. So I think just keep it simple. Keep it simple. Get Organics Alive's little kits that they offer. They do, and that's pretty much as easy as it gets.
Nice. Yeah, heck yeah, I appreciate that. Especially for people that are just starting our organic or want to move to organic or just curious about it. Because it's a bit different ballgame, from going from one to the other. So I really appreciate that. And I like asking growers that, because everyone has their own perspective on things, and it's kind of helping some people out that are new. So
well, people like to gatekeep stuff, and it's just like it's like you could give anyone grandma's recipe, but they still don't have grandma.
Exactly.
I mean? Yeah. So we want people to use good stuff, and we want them to produce good stuff, and Organics Alive can help a lot of people out with that.
Yeah, definitely. Because my mom can make tortillas all day, make them look like a perfect circle, but mine looks like Alaska. So I can use her recipe all day, but my tortillas look like shit.
So true, man. So true.
100%. So what do you guys have in store for the future for Yendo Farms?
Shoot, Yendo Farms. I think Yendo Farms might just be like a consulting company. We might drop some T-shirts for people because everyone loves the llama, and then really focus all our energy into Unidos and like really bringing that farm to be highlighted of like this is Yendo Farms, this is Alabastra, and this is us at our best. And be able to scale and keep it consistent. And not let quality get beyond the passion and the quality that we're trying to put out. So I think that's kind of like the only thing, and we'll be dropping a bunch of like RSO products here in the next year, really trying to focus more on the medical side as well, and just whatever we can do to help. If anyone has any suggestions of like what they want to see us bring to the table, we're always open to DMs, but really we're just gonna bring in fire rosin carts, some handfuls.
Sir.
Just like just what we like to smoke on, what we like to do, because like we don't really want to put out anything that we wouldn't smoke, and we don't want to we're not going to put out a gram of rosin that we wouldn't personally smoke ourselves. You know what I mean? So, and that's what we're focusing on right now.
Yeah, 100%, dude. Because when I was in the Army, they didn't make me do anything that they didn't do themselves first. So, same thing, same concept. So it goes for that. Yeah. Well, I appreciate you joining me today. And I'm glad you're going to stick around for the rest of the conversations, but it's been a great conversation. We spent almost a whole hour talking about you guys. So it's great. You get such a great history. I hope to see a big cutout of Yendo, wherever you guys' stuff is. That'd be great.
Yeah. We'll work with Deluxe Designs and see if we could get like a huge couple cutouts, whatever store wants to buy a couple pounds of rosin, we'll throw a llama head in there as well. So yeah.
That's great.
What else you got going on the show?
So actually, I wanted to update everybody real quick on what happened this week with the CCD hearing, and I didn't put that in the script. I just remembered it while we were here. So this week, as you guys know, the CCD had a hearing, and it was on some rule changes, and we don't know how that's going to go. These are proposed rules, so now the CCD is going to go in and either say we're going to keep these, we're going to change these, et cetera, because they gave a public comment portion on online and stuff like that. And you could have gone like to Santa Fe and did a public comment that way. But I guess there was only like maybe 20 people that showed up in person. It looked like there was like 25, maybe 30 comments on the public comment section. I did do my public comment because there was one thing I just didn't agree with. They have it to where the owners of the businesses of all license types have to get like secondary education. And like they don't require that if you like brew beer. So they want to do it like on the cannabis industry in general, rules and laws, which, that's cool, but, they don't really do this for other industries. And so I don't get why they're doing it for cannabis, and I get like, there's a lot of people who don't know it, but my opinion is if you don't know the rules and laws at this point, you're kind of doing it wrong and you're not trying, it's one of those, like, if you really want to succeed at this, you're going to have to learn, and, no one's going to spoon feed it to you. And, so that's kind of like my point. And I just wanted to update everybody on that. We don't know when these will take in effect, what they'll keep, what they won't, but we did at least have a chance for public comment. So what do you think about, what's your thoughts on that?
I think it's both. I think that like sometimes farmers are so focused on like just trying to make it that sometimes they're missing some of the rules. So I think maybe not mandatory, because like there are the people that are very due diligence, but if the state had something where it's like, hey, you might not know all the rules, you want to get refreshed, you want to understand how BioTrack works, and have like once a month kind of thing where people or people that are getting their license have to go through at least an hour or two of BioTrack, and I know we had to do some BioTrack learning, at the beginning, but it's like, I don't know. It's like one of those things where it's like it'd be great to have the option if Saturday I was like, oh yeah, I just want to make sure that I know all the rules, make sure that everything's tuned up, and they give you like a live feed. I think that'd be awesome. Yeah. But do I think it should be mandatory for the people that are already tuned up, they've been in it, they know what they're doing, and then now they have to go take some secondary like course? No, I don't think that should be, I don't think it should be mandatory at all. I think, like you said, it's like it's really up to us to know, and if the state wants to provide something that is like helps us even be more compliant and even be more transparent, by all means, because like at the end of the day, we're always just trying to do shit right too. This is all new for us. It's like I've never been in the cannabis industry before. It's like I grew my 12 plants, or 6 plants or whatever it was. So it's like this is like a whole new ball game for some people. So I do get what you're saying. Like some people shouldn't be spoon fed, but also I think there should be a balance between the two. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and there's a misconception. People thought it was just for the bud tenders, like a service permit, which I'm like, okay, that's fine. They need to know certain things, and like your employer should be teaching you and training you, so that falls back on them. And if you're the owner of the business doesn't know, they should hire somebody who does. That's why you hire managers. That's why you hire HR people. That's why you hire a tax person. Because you have to do all this stuff correctly. True. And if you do that all right in the end, you will have a return. And if you do it correctly. So yeah, that's my thing about it too. If you're really willing to be in this industry, you're gonna do your due diligence. I can't talk today. Due diligence. You're gonna do that, and you're gonna learn everything that you can. And you're gonna want to keep learning too. And I think the state, what they could do is provide some free educational materials, because most of this stuff is online for free anyway. You can find this information anywhere. So I mean, why force us to either pay for it, take time out of running a business,
Yeah, and I
Really?
think with the fees and the stuff that they're taking from producers, that should go back into making the program stronger. That should go into like supporting farmers and making sure they're doing stuff right. So they're not here to reprimand people and suspend people, but say, hey, you could do this better. You could do this
Yeah.
better. Like, hey, together we're going to figure this out. And yeah, maybe 5 years down the line, everyone's tuned up, and if you still don't have your things in a row, start slapping people on the wrist and suspending licenses and stuff like that. And
Yeah.
there's obviously rules and stuff you don't want to cross, but at the end of the day, they should be working with the farmers to help them compliant instead of like coming down on them. Do you know what I mean?
And it goes both ways too, because a lot of the farmers aren't speaking up. Like sometimes the lawmakers will ask, "What do you guys want?" And we hate the government so much. We're like, "Oh, I'm not telling them anything,"
Yeah.
And then they go and they make some arbitrary rule like this, because that's kind of where I'm feeling this came from.
Yeah.
Is just for the fact that we don't speak up. We
Oh yeah, and I'm guilty for that.
Yeah.
I wanted to be at that meeting, and I can't believe it's already passed. You know what
Yeah.
I mean?
I didn't even know it happened that morning. They were kind of secretive about it. It happened at like 9 a.m. It was only like maybe 45 minutes. I barely had a chance to share the link because the link was nowhere online. Someone had to email to get the link. Shout out to Karina. Thank you for that. And she got me the link, but it was a big old mess.
Yeah, the CCD is doing their best too right now, because it's like they said, they're building the plane while they're flying it, and they're figuring it out just as much as we are. So I think that if we all work together, and we could really form a really nice market here in New Mexico that looks out for the customers and looks out for the business owners, and doesn't see the farmers really taking a nosedive, kind of like they see in other states where it's cannabis is oversaturated.
Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, because we're so saturated right now, but it's kind of going through a natural process where that's kind of changing. So I knew that was going to happen. It's just some people have been freaking out, and I'm like, guys, it's only been a year. Like I don't know why we're freaking out. Like let the program mature.
Yeah, exactly. It's all brand new to us. We're about 5-6 years away from the coast, and everything else. So we do our thing, our own thing in New Mexico, and I think the CCD is doing a great job. They just gotta, they're getting more people. We're all trying to do the best we can. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And there's some stuff in the laws that need to change and stuff, and in time. But we have to speak up, and that's the whole thing. So I just wanted to update everybody on that. That's what happened with the whole CCD thing. Whoever got to go, if you want to update, please let me know. That'd be great. But yeah, that's all I had for that one. Next, we're going to talk about some more government stuff. This is actually huge. Now, this one came out earlier this week, and this one actually affects everybody in the nation. So it looks like the Human and Health Services Committee that was told by President Biden to go and look at the scheduling and use science and everything and studies to give a recommendation to the DEA on whether they should reschedule, deschedule, or keep it the same. And HHS the other day looks like they came out and they gave the recommendation to the DEA, and the recommendation is moving from Schedule 1 to Schedule 3. For those of you who are watching, Schedule 1 is the highest scheduling that you can have on the DEA's list of scheduled controlled substances. And that means there's no medical value, high risk of addiction. It'll, kill the world and to make you eat babies, whatever. And so whatever stupid stuff they say about it.
Schedule 1?
Yeah.
Or is that even Schedule 2?
Cocaine's Schedule 2, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, something stupid. Yeah. And then once you go past 1 and you go down to 2 and 3, then you start going down to the medical use. And so now it's a scheduled substance, but like pharmacies can sell it, and then they can use taxes and stuff. They can do their taxes and stuff. So that's what this really does, is it opens it up for us to use banking. We'll be able to deduct taxes. We'll be able to get like federal loans. A lot of stuff opens up. One thing it really doesn't do, though, is it doesn't protect us from the border checks. We're still probably going to get harassed for the border checks, because this essentially legalizes medical cannabis. It doesn't do anything about recreational cannabis, and that would be descheduling altogether. So for me, it feels like this is a move in the right direction, just not the direction I would like to see, or we would like to see as an industry. I mean, what's your thought process on this? I mean, do you like descheduling, or what do you think?
Yeah, I think overall just decriminalizing it. I feel like there's people that are serving time right now for cannabis still, while people are getting, making a living doing it, you know. So
Yeah.
I think that, like, hey, if you're in the United States, we all should at least be decriminalized to the point where people get out of jail if they're in for long sentences for cannabis or trafficking or anything. That one small mistake shouldn't affect your life for 20 years, especially if it's cannabis, you know.
Yeah.
Other drugs, everyone has their own opinion on those, but cannabis, I'm certain that no one should serve a day in jail for. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so I think that in itself, if that was be able to decriminalize, I think that's the move. I think
Mhm.
then some of the big corporations still won't mess with it because it's still not federally legal. But it kind of puts that power back into the states, where it's up to the state what they want to do, but they can't keep people in jail for cannabis anymore.
Yeah, and I feel New Mexico moved in the right direction by expunging certain things, but I mean, it's not perfect. Don't get me wrong. There's certain things that need to be fixed with that, but
Definitely.
I feel it was a move in
In
the
the
right
right
direction.
direction, though, right?
Yeah, definitely 100%. And there's some people who have benefited from that, and I'm glad. But I feel that anybody that's in cannabis in jail or prison for cannabis, they should be let out. And yeah, that you shouldn't serve a day in jail for something like that because that's ridiculous. But we're coming to a point where that is starting to change, and hopefully it will. But
Yeah.
I really do hope, because the way that this is work is HHS's recommendation is only going to go to the DEA. It's just a recommendation, so nothing changes at this point. Nothing has changed. So
Yeah.
now it's up to the DEA to come out and say, okay, this is what we're going to do, not our recommendations. So what we're going to do is this, and so it's very rare for a federal government agency to go against another federal government agency on the recommendations. Usually they adapt that. However, I wouldn't say them descheduling or just taking it off the schedule, altogether, just descheduling, which is decriminalizing it. I don't see that being too extreme to what they recommended, because HHS, they were asked to give a scientific approach to this versus a political or a financial aspect to this. So they're only going from the medical side. So now we have the medical side. The
Yeah.
DEA has to come in, and now hopefully they're going to look at, okay, we have all these states that have a recreational program. We have the medical. This is good. So now we need banking here. Let's take it off of this and allow them to do this, because it's a little ridiculous. Because now Schedule 3 only opens up, like I said, only a few things, which are great. Don't get me wrong. We need those significantly. We need to stop paying 280E, and because that one is just a killer in, the cannabis industry, and that will stop with this. But the DEA still has the opportunity to decriminalize and to go further than what HHS says. So, okay, on the scientific side, we see this, but on the business side too, we actually need to decriminalize. So I think that's everyone's worry, is that the DEA is just going to go with HHS, and that's my fear too. I mean, what do you think?
I mean, shoot, we'll take what we can get. If it has to start by being rescheduled and then go from there to decriminalization, then I'd much rather see that than just them do nothing and
Yeah,
continue being a Schedule 1. You
yeah,
know, but yeah, I think that the idea being decriminalization and then anything short of that, yeah, definitely rescheduling.
yeah,
To a more proper schedule. Like, to be honest, I'm not too familiar with the schedules as far as like Schedule 3 and stuff. Because once I got my medical card, it was like, oh, I'm protected all of a sudden.
yeah,
So I didn't really, all I did was grow for myself, so I didn't really have any worry or whatever. So,
yeah.
what is a Schedule 3? Like, do you know what round that is, or Schedule 2?
So, 1 through 5, one being the worst, 5 being the least. Every scheduling goes down, it gets least and least restrictive. So you can do more and more, and it kind of unlocks more things that you can do. I'm not too sure, and all of us are still asking these particular questions in general. Like, I'm not too sure what this means for this pharmaceutical company, because some people are touting that this gives the pharmaceutical companies full control. Now, all of our programs are, bunk, and everyone's going to go out of business because only they are. And I can see that being like, okay, now there's some certain federal regulations that no one can afford, that only big pharma can afford. I
Mm-hmm.
can see that being the case, because right now I'm like, well, if it goes from 1 to 3, the only thing that changes is that, and we're allowed to do more things
Yeah,
because it's still federally illegal. We just kind of go on with our day. That
yeah,
worry is there right now as I talk to you. Like, the federal government can come down at any time at any farm they want, really, and then bust it down because they're breaking federal law. So if you go from 1 to 3, it just seems like your chances of getting busted and everything is significantly less, because now you have drugs that are on the same level as like other prescription drugs, like Tylenol with I think it's codeine is on Schedule 3. So, you have like those two together. So certain ones like that, and it's usually with the prescription. But as I said, all the states already have their programs past, what Schedule 1 is, which is the most restrictive. So I don't see the states really changing that. But I do fear that there's some underlying stuff that we aren't aware of yet. Some, I like to call them unknown variables that we haven't taken into consideration that we're just not seeing yet. And I think that's what we're afraid of too. And all of us are still asking questions and still getting slow answers. And to be honest, I don't even think the government fully knows what's really going to happen with this. Like they're kind of probably still figuring that answer out. Because if you look at HHS's Twitter, when they announced it, it was just, we announced it. Okay. And there was like a meme that just said, rescheduling. It didn't even tell us to what or anything. I was like, well, that was vague. So I kind of feel that they're kind of trying to figure this out too. I mean, what do you think?
Yeah, it sounds like, they obviously know the war on drugs doesn't work. They obviously know that cannabis helps people. I think ultimately they're going to try to get their piece of the pie. I think they're going to try to do whatever they can to position, people that they may favor into, like you said, larger contracts and like stuff that maybe people are more familiar with in the Western kind of way of doing things, like pills and other things like that. So, yeah, I don't see it not happening, but also I don't really even see the DEA making any moves either, because like they're still, I think cannabis arrests went up, in the last couple of years, So
yeah, they did.
doesn't really
Confiscations or something like that.
So yeah, I saw some statistic where it was supposed to go down and it went up, and it's like, wait, we're kind of moving backwards. So
yeah, it's like, what the hell? And then some of the border patrol guys have been more jerks.
I would love to see people reschedule it, and it's like, oh, you just got some Tylenol, some hyped up Tylenol, that's equivalent to then cocaine. It's like, okay, like give us a break, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think it'll do a lot for the stigma of cannabis, and like it's like I'd rather see a soccer mom smoking a joint or a rosin cart than like drinking a glass of wine, driving her kids around. You know what I mean?
100%.
So
I agree.
So I think, and that's not schedule anything, right? So I think just kind of like just doing what's fair at the end of the day. It's like we're not asking for a lot. It's just to be fair.
Yeah. We just don't want to pay 280E. You're like, let us claim some taxes. Damn it.
Let's get some up as it is, man. It's like the tax system is a great system to use if you're able to use it, and like, hey, you have employees, you could write that off. That'd be awesome. But if you're with 280E, you can't do that, right?
Yeah, you can't even write off office supplies or any of that.
Yeah,
like you're kind of stuck with that, and that's kind of what's been the big issue with California is. Not only do they have the 280E tax, but the state decided to overly tax the shit out of the industry. So they tax them, for farts. And so the only way they can make money is through the legacy market, and because they've just been overly taxed. And, a lot of it has to do with the federal tax and of course, California's tax, on top of it. And then only 30% of cities in California sell cannabis to start out with or are allowed to. So that blows my mind to begin with. I'm like, you're one of the most highly populated, densely populated states in the nation. Only 30% of your cities. That is crazy.
Yeah, because I think what's cool about New Mexico is they said that counties can't ban it, right? But they could set their own rules. Is that correct?
So they can set their own rules, but they can't set them to the point where they ban things. But they've been finding little loopholes, like just not giving someone their license, or other little loopholes.
Having their own pickups and stuff. Yeah, I've heard of that.
Yeah, so they found ways around it essentially, but there's no way that they can.
California they could just flat out ban everything.
Exactly. Like in California, they just say we don't want it. Like even in Colorado, it's the same thing. Like my dad's from Fremont County originally, and they don't allow cannabis there. But if you go 30 minutes to Pueblo, Colorado, there's cannabis all over the place. And so it just doesn't make any sense to me. I'm like, okay, I get you guys are conservative, but even my conservative town of Alamogordo has like 20 plus dispensaries, and that's like one of the most conservative places in the state.
Yeah, cannabis is not demographically specific. That's for sure.
100%. But I just wanted to update everybody on that, the Schedule 3. And I'll keep updating everybody as time goes on, what's going on with the Schedule 3 stuff, what happens with the DA saying, what I'm hearing in the intel world, I guess I should say. So I'll keep you guys updated on that. And that's really all I had to share with it. There's a lot of unknowns still. And as I find more knowns, I'll let you guys know. So Yeah, I mean, it's
thanks for doing the groundwork too, man. Because it's hard keeping up with everything that's going on, constantly changing, and all the plans and stuff. So we all need to work together to make sure that, like you said, everyone's like just continuing to get better. You know what I mean? Tighter, grow more legit and professional, and just kind of like know what we're doing, and be able to have like a solid foundation to kind of stand on. You know what I mean?
100%, and better together, as I like saying, like we're all better together. We all need this together. And, the way you stay informed is you watch my show or listen to the podcast. So that's one way that you guys can, really stay informed. Is I really do try to keep everybody updated, especially like on the Facebook page and everything. So that's all I have for that topic. On to the last one. And this one right here is kind of a little controversial, only for the fact that, where cannabis has been for the longest time. I get a lot of people in my messages and stuff, all the time, almost every day. Some disgruntled employees, some business owners, this and that, concerned with this and that. Or I get people like, oh, they have mold in their weed, or they sold me this. And like, I can't do anything. I'm not the authorities. I'm not the CCD. And I'm not going to sit there and put them on blast for it, because it doesn't really change the problem. It makes people aware, don't get me wrong, but the people who have something to do with it is the CCD. And if you run into an issue like that, you're an employee, you're an employer, whatever, you're a consumer, and you run into that issue. Don't send me the picture, don't send Daniel the picture, unless you got it from someone. Then if you got it from him, fair, but
we'll make it right. But we'll make sure that none of that shit happens.
I was like, well, if you got it from him, I'm sure he'd want to know. You want to fix that.
Please, exactly.
It's like, but like, if it's not from him, don't send it to him.
Don't tell me. I don't care.
It's like, why are you sending me this?
Tell your friends, and then if you feel obligated, take further measures. But really, it's like awareness is everything. Where it's like, hey, these guys didn't really do this or this well, and so I personally want to support them. Everyone's cup of tea is different, so it's like everyone has their own experience with everyone differently, and so it's just like take the measures upon yourself. But telling Chad's not gonna get you your grand back or whatever it is.
And the way that it works is, if it's persistent, it keeps happening. And don't get me wrong, mold and weed like that is a health issue, and there is steps to go about that. So Gino, could you pull up that site real quick? I'm going to show you guys, so you can stop bothering me about it, how to report to the CCD an issue if you do come across it and you do feel that you want to do this. Now, some people are call themselves, I don't want to be a snitch, this and that, but then they'll go and make like a big long Facebook post and blast everybody on that. And the thing about that is the CCD can use those as evidence. So essentially, you're still the snitch at the end of the day, and you like gave them detailed information. So like when you guys write novels, it's usually very detailed. So keep that in mind, that when you put it on social media at all, you're still kind of being a snitch. So just keep that in mind. But if someone is a legal entity and they're doing it wrong, they should be either punished out of the industry, or at least aware. Maybe they're not sure that that's even happening.
Sometimes you test one bud and everything's fine, and there's another bud in the batch that isn't. And so it's like the repeated offenders and stuff like that. It's like I personally, it's like, if you have a problem with anybody, you get bad weed, I feel like you should be able to like air it out and say like, hey, this is my experience. Take it as you will, but I wouldn't go here. I wouldn't, support these people anymore. But taking it to the point where you get to a degrading or derogatory point where you're using, stuff that like, it should be educational. It shouldn't be, a place that for blasphemy. You know what I mean?
Yeah, 100%. And there's levels, guys. Like if it happens, try to get a hold of the owner or the shop person first and let them know what's going on. Maybe they weren't aware of it, or maybe, they'll fix it, or maybe it's being recalled and they missed it, because I've seen stuff get recalled in the state. Like, this guy, his scale was off. And so he had to go and recall everything that he sent to this particular shop because his weight was off. So he had to go and do that. That happens. This is the retail world, stuff like that happens all the time.
There's about a billion things going on constantly, but it's like, it's all about your intention. I've heard of also shop owners getting pictures of moldy weed and they not doing anything about it, and so it's like, I want to tell you
both ways
not to go there. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and you guys have every right as a consumer to boycott. to gather, to boycott, to protest, and to report to the CCD. So I'll show you guys that right now, so we can get through this. So I'm gonna show you. So this is the CCD website. This is the CCD tab. If you scroll down on it, you'll have all the little tabs. It looks real nice, real pretty. Scroll down to the bottom, and you see this little tab right here called File Complaint. Click that, and once it opens up and loads, because internet depends on where you're at and how fast it goes. Once that loads up, on this page, you have everything that they want. You have the name, and come to find out, you don't even have to leave your name from what I asked the CCD if you want to be anonymous. So I believe you don't have to leave the name, number, or email. You can just put this in. And it has here, are you a patient? Are you an employee? And even has licensee right there, like maybe there's something going on. I have no clue. And it has other stuff in here, like what kind of license was it, et cetera. What is the name, the address, all that good stuff. So as you guys see here, you guys can read. I don't have to read it all to you. This is very simple form stuff. And I've had people like, well, why don't you show people how to do this? And so that's why I'm doing this. I'm showing you guys how to do this. Just go by and whatever, they have every question here. They even have an area, I believe, where you can add photos. If you have that kind of proof, evidence, whatever. But this is how it works. This is how the system works. And you guys now know that if you want to make a complaint, it is through the CCD's website, not through Chad, not through Daniel, not through my producer, not through the guy at Walmart, and not your aunt on Facebook. It's through this website, through this portal. And to be honest, guys, I'm a firm believer of self-policing, especially when it comes to the industry. And I was a big preacher of that last year. Let's self-police our industry so the CCD doesn't have to do it. If you know somebody not doing it right, try to get them right. And if they don't want to, do it right, well, they're going to get caught eventually. There's really no point in making it like a huge, massive deal where you're like making this your life. Like allow the authorities who are in charge to do their job and just do yours at the end. Let's try to self-police, but if people are just going to be stingy or stubborn, then they're going to lose at the end of the day anyway. I mean, what do you kind of feel about that, man?
Yeah, I mean, I think definitely the best approach is just awareness and education, just telling approaching that particular company, or it's like, hey, we got this happened, we weren't satisfied, you treated me like this, we heard you treat an employee like that, coming to them. And I think if you're an employee and you got taken advantage of, or no one paid you or something, I think, airing it out on Instagram or whatever might not get you your check that you're owed,
Yeah,
but
100%.
taking the proper measures, whatever that may be, might. So I think people kind of have to get out of their feelings a lot and get like, if you really want, retribution or to, because at the end of the day, it's about being fair. It's like if somebody paid their hard-earned money to get some like fire weed and someone sold them some moldy weed, if it wasn't malicious, they should be able to get their herb back. They should be able to get their cash back. They should be able to, at the end of the day, that's on whatever farm that was. That's on whatever producer put that out or what dispensary. So it's like, and then if you, but things happen. So it's like, but if you go over and over and give those places a chance, maybe take whatever step you feel like further from there. But it's like, I think awareness, the only way that place is going to get better is if they know the problem happened before the CCD knows about it.
Yeah, and there's a lot of owners that need to swallow their pride and just take criticism. Even if the criticism sounds a little harsh, try to find something that you can improve from in it. It may sound like, hey, this tastes like dog shit. Don't be like, oh, well, you don't know quality. Okay, well, why do you think that happens? You can tell me. You
think I'm lying? But yeah, no, and I think that's important too. It's like what temps you hit it on. Was your pipe dirty? Did you just taste some like gassy terps and you just had like a strawberry smoothie, or did you just drink some coffee and then you hit the strawberry terps and didn't like it or whatever? It's like there's a lot of things that go into your experience as a cannabis user, but if it's blatant mold or there's a bug crawling under your bud, tell the owner, and the owner doesn't give you anything, take it upon yourself to do whatever you feel is necessary to like make sure that you don't feel like you're taken advantage of and that they aren't continuing taking advantage of other people. Because at the end of the day, if your Jordans are scuffed when you bought a brand new pair of Jordans, you take them back, you haven't worn them, they're going to give you a new pair, and it's like, it's up to the owner to not sell scuffed Jordans if he doesn't want people taking back his product. So, and if the owner didn't see it, it's like, oh, I didn't even see that. I'm sorry. Here you go. Here's a new port. And no harm, no foul, but I think like you said, self-policing is the best. And like, I hate to use the word even policing, but self-regulating, like we're here to regulate each other. We're here to like help each other. Where it's like, hey bro, you sold me some moldy weed. I didn't appreciate it. Give me back my cash.
Yeah.
Dude doesn't want to give you back your cash. Maybe put them on blast on Instagram, maybe do whatever you think you need to make sure that you feel like other people won't get taken advantage of. Because at the end of the day, it's like no one should pay their hard-earned money to get something that could potentially harm their health.
Yeah, and no one should have to deal with it like a business-wise just to get blatantly bashed over a misunderstanding or something that's true, because it goes both ways. You have the disgruntled employees who get mad at an employer, and then you have the employers who create the disgruntled employee that creates that issue. So you have like this underlying mixture of different things, and we have no clue if any of this is true, and we have to like
decide. Yeah, and that's why it's like, and then that could have been that person's opinion or experience with that individual too, and that's why it's like so important for people to discern their own information of like, if this guy has a history of doing it, maybe it's truth, or maybe if that disgruntled employee is always disgruntled no matter where he's at, maybe it's an employee. So it's like, people have to go a little bit further than just the Yelp review. Who is the Yelp reviewer? Is it Tom2244, with no reviews and he just has one review? Or is he like, have 80,000 followers and people respect what he says and it's like, oh, cool. Like this guy knows what he's talking about. So like I respect, his point of view and whatever he's saying.
Yeah, definitely. 100%. And I like to say this, there's three sides to every story. Yours, theirs, and the truth. And, you have to hear all sides to really get, to that conclusion. So I'm still working on trying to hear, the other side now too, about what happened, et cetera, with, a particular situation and stuff. That kind of falls in the same line.
Yeah, exactly. Because it's like, we treat our people, with the utmost respect, and we love all of our helpers and assistants and people that make us go. Because at the end of the day, without them, there's no us. And without us, there's no, there's nothing that we could do for anybody. It's like I can only do so much as a person, but it's like it's the team around us that makes us. So why not just treat everyone nice? Why not make sure that the people that take care of you take care of them?
Yeah, exactly.
Including the
shouldn't be
clients. Make sure they get the best shit that they could for the best money. And if they want a lower tier, make sure that that's the best lower tier weed that you could offer them.
It's like got something for everybody. Cool. Just make sure you're not ripping people off and doing bad business, because that's what a lot of this goes down to. And we'll eventually filter a lot of this stuff out, in the end, but it's just growing pains. And, we'll eventually get away from this whole blasting each other on, Facebook right away when something happens versus having a conversation or going through the right channels, whatever you feel. Like you guys now are aware of the channels you can go through. You now know that you can go through the CCD website if you need. I showed you what you can do, how to do it. So there it is. Stop sending me DM stuff with like I'm the CCD or something.
Inbox is blowing up, y'all. Okay.
Yeah. Like, damn it, stop it. I'm not the CCD. I can't do anything. Thank you for letting me know, but I can't do anything.
I can heart your comment, okay? That's all I can do.
Yeah, it's literally all I can do is just like.
Oh, good luck. Yeah.
I'll go back to smoking my weed.
Yeah. Go to Red Cannabis. Go to Top Crop. Go where it's fire. So
yeah. Go somewhere reputable. Don't buy $50 ounces. Because sometimes that's what you run into.
Exactly. You get what you pay for, folks. If and sometimes that falls on the customer too. If you're trying to, people can only produce a certain amount of quality for a certain price point. And if you don't want to pay it, sometimes you can't pay to play, or sometimes you can't play if you don't pay. So it's an energy exchange at the end of the day. It takes a certain amount of energy to produce a certain amount of quality, and therefore a certain amount of energy is required to reciprocate that energy.
Yeah, 100%, man. And one day, we'll have cheaper cannabis in the state, but that's not today. Yeah. So the way things are and the way things should be.
Look at Cali, bro. There's still $300 ounces. My boys out there have a dispensary. They're selling $350 ounces.
Yeah, so probably fire though.
Yeah, exactly.
Fire. I can guarantee it's fire.
Yeah, and there's like $70, $60 ounces. There's $100 pounds.
Definitely.
There's $5 bottles of wine. There's $1,000 bottles of wine. It's like people need to open their perspective of like there are many ways to do everything. And like you go to a t-shirt company, we're creating our t-shirts. How many cuts of t-shirts are there? Who would have thought? How many pockets?
Yeah. And then like the different, fibers that are used and like, the counts and, the quality, and all that stuff. And Is it 100% cotton? Is it polyester?
That's kind of what the cannabis industry is coming. So you have to know what you're looking for. It's just like life. If you don't ask the right questions, you're never gonna get the right answers.
Yeah, definitely, 100%. Well, I appreciate all your.
You're not gonna finally probably get the good weed. You know what I mean?
100%, 100%. Well, I appreciate all your opinions on that. That's all I have for the scheduling, and we actually had a good side conversation on that. About some good stuff, and and the CCD stuff. So I appreciate your input and everything, because it's always great to have not just one input, but several others too. And other people have other opinions on this, and that's fine. Everyone's entitled to their opinion, and I appreciate that and I respect that. But yeah, if it comes down to it, guys, let's not make yourselves look bad, because in the end, I've had people tell me that I've had to do that, like report to the CCD about an employer, but I didn't put them on blast. I just did what I had to do, and I moved on with life. And it got dealt with, and that was it. So just move on with life and be professional. That's really what it is. Just be more professional about this.
Don't hold on to stuff. It just hurts you in the long run.
Yeah, definitely. And then it makes you look bad if something comes out that you were wrong or lying or whatever, something was incorrect.
Yeah.
So, and then you also line yourself up for lawsuits. Like you don't want to sit there and just you set yourself up for lawsuits when you do that. So it's better to just do it the legal route, the right route, and then you avoid a lot of BS in the end. So that's all I had for that. And that's really all I had for the show today. But I do have a bonus tidbit for everybody real quick. Today, I was late for the show because I was in Deming checking out a farm due to a situation similar to what we were just talking about. Because a certain individual decided to put someone on blast, and it turned into a whole thing. And so then I got invited to the farm to check it out. So I'm not going to tell you guys how it went, but I will share about the reason why I went. And that was the reason why. But if you want to see how it went, we actually did a live video on the NM Area 420 Facebook page. That's on my LinkedIn tree link. You'll find it on there. It'll take you straight to it. You can join it. The videos are on there. You can watch for yourself and then find out the reason why we were there, what we found. And I don't know, this could turn into something new that we might do throughout the whole state, or someone wants us to come check out the farm, because the owner of this one offered $1,000. We found something wrong to any charity of our choice. So maybe we'll keep that as the little thing on it. So we'll see.
You got a donation.
Yeah, I got a donation, right? So we'll see. Did I get a donation or not today? So I'll get you that link too, so that way you can follow it. But that's all I wanted to let you guys know. I wanted to give you that information there. Look out, that might be something new that we're doing, but that's one of the reasons why I was late. And this kind of ties into the other story too, and it kind of leads into stuff like that. I'm an advocate, but I can't be everywhere. I'm not Superman. So, but anyway, Daniel, thank you so much for joining me today, dude. It was great, a long episode, but a lot of great information. We had a lot of good conversations, man, and I can't wait to have you and your girlfriend on again. Hopefully here soon.
Yeah. Thanks for having us. If you guys, look out for the Unidos drop, Yendo Farms times Alabastra, trying to bring the best to the Southwest. So that's what we're doing.
Definitely. Hell yeah, man. Well, I appreciate it. And I can't wait to see your stuff down here in Cruces. And let me know when you guys are coming down.
Oh, yeah. Blessings, guys. Well, yeah, thanks a bunch. Appreciate you.
For sure. All right, guys. Well, we're out. I'll be back next week with another episode. And that's it for now. All right. Shoot.
Adios.